Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and today I have a review of See What I Have Done by Sarah Schmidt. This book tells the tale of Lizzie Borden, that story that a few people have seen popularised because a lot of people have talked about it I suppose, since Lizzie Borden supposedly killed her stepmother and her father. This book is told from four perspectives, that of Lizzie, her sister Emma, their maid Bridget, and this guy called Benjamin, who has something to do with the story, but you don't really know what until maybe you might know it in his first in his first chapter, but he's really there to add this air of mystery, this air of suspicion that Sarah Schmidt has concocted in her head, because most of us know the tale, and this book is just about giving you some hypotheses on what it could have been. I didn't like this book. Not gonna lie, this is not going to be a favourable review. Each of the four perspectives in this book read entirely the same. They were told in this same manner that I think is a bit popular. Basically, there's these very simplistic sentences, and the only time they're ever compounded is when the writer decides that she's going to add another verb into it. So you'll have character, verb, and then comma, character, verb, and it just made for this very... I don't know, I read this book in 2 sittings, basically. It was a very fast read. I thought whilst I was reading it, if you were coming out of reading the young adult genre and looking for a book for an adult, if you wanted to get into reading more adult books, this might have been a good gateway book for you. But otherwise, I don't understand it. I disliked it the same way I disliked The Witchfinder's Sister last year. Because I think that just writing-wise, whilst there is good... I don't know, whilst there are good stylistic choices made, the actual book has no individual voice. I think that's what I'm getting at, is that as the characters have no individual voices themselves, they all read exactly the same, and sometimes you'll struggle to differentiate between them. Because they do all speak in the exact same manner for some reason. Even this... I suppose I shouldn't say that men and women talk differently, but, I do think that there's some language in here that a man might not use, but maybe that's my own personal opinion. I wish there'd been some, individual writerly voice, really. I didn't feel like I got any sense of the writer from this book. I got, this has been edited well. We've got this crisp story that's just, moving along. We know how it's going to end. We know exactly where it's going to go. It's a predictable book. It's doing exactly what books from this genre do. It's not making any missteps. It's not taking any risks. And it's a story that we could see coming. And I didn't need a reason for Lizzie Borden to supposedly kill her stepmother and father. I didn't need that reasoning, so trying to make all these characters surrounding her villainous and turn her into this very petulant character. I mean, perhaps she was like that, perhaps I'm not here, maybe. But I think that this entire book is speculation, and because it's speculative, why not decide that you're gonna, you're creating a fictionalised version of accounts. Why not try and avoid the cliches? And I know people hate cliche. I know people hate throwing the term cliche around because a lot of our fiction is made up from cliches. That is fine, but maybe add a new twist on it, or do something different. And maybe I could forgive all the cliches if there was this individual writing voice, if the sentences weren't so simple, if the story weren't so predictable, if it wasn't such a forgettable book. I mean, there are some really dark, graphic images within this book, but they don't fit with the overall narrative that has been quite, well, really what I'd like recommend to my grandmother, what I would recommend to someone who enjoyed reading The People's Friend, and here that is a criticism. Sometimes I'll read a book like I did a few months ago and say it read like something I would read in The People's Friend because of its coziness with Ruth Hogan's book, The Keeper of Lost Things. That suited the narrative and worked for it. But for the story I'm getting here, it doesn't suit that narrative. And there is an overall coziness within this book that doesn't seem to fit. And also, the writer sticks with the same images all the time. Like, we're constantly being told about this mutton stew, or the bloody pigeons, or pears. And I didn't know whether that was just to get these images across so that we could have them on the cover, but it just... I didn't understand it. Like, I know there are pears. I get it. You've told me once. Maybe mention it a few more times, but you've told me too much about these bloody pears and the pigeons. Like, I get it. I get it. I get why you're sad now. But it's still... It still just wasn't there for me. I'm glad that I got this book out of the library rather than purchasing it myself. I think it's going to be a big book club book. I think that it already might have been, but I definitely think that it's one of those books that people who would regularly attend book clubs will like. I think it's popular fiction. I think that people who don't necessarily read all the time, who are looking for a book to read on their holidays, might get something out of it. But personally, for me, it just left me wanting, and that is not necessarily a good thing. Anyway, have you read this book? If so, please feel free to discuss it with me in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, that is all.